Hoodie guy coming back here with another one. Well, I haven't talked to you guys since last year. How's it been? Good old dad joke. But 2026 is here. 2025, man, 2025 was the longest decade of my life. It's nice to have it in the books. A lot of amazing things happened. The markets, they didn't play out how a lot of us thought they were going to play out, but it is what it is. And yeah, I'm excited about this year. It's kind of crazy. Time's going by fast. And, at the end of the day, you can look at data that supports this, supports that, and you just never truly know how it's going to shake out. But there's the macroeconomic conditions. I mean, China could invade Taiwan, and all the chips for AI get messed up, and that would completely destroy the stock market. But overall, we'll talk about it a little bit later. But there's reasons to think that 2025 kind of look more like a bear market in a lot of ways for crypto. But you did have Bitcoin hitting that high on October 6th, which is about 535 days roughly around after the halving, which actually kind of is kind of close to when Bitcoin does. So it's we're just kind of in uncharted territory. Bitcoin hit an all-time high before the halving, and we'll go and look just on K Social here. I put in the description, I put the my public key link here. If you're not on there, it's kind of fun. 245 transactions right now, the last hour. It's gotten up to 900. You can actually see that there's a lot of Casplex L2 transactions right there. But I know that so far, the only transactions, KRC20s bring in quite a bit of fees for the miners. A lot of these other ones don't. It's pretty small. So you need a lot of fees to really bring up that free market. Probably won't be a giant change in the fee market. Now, the Fed chair is just one of the voting people. It's just they're the face, and what they say can move markets. And right now, it's a showdown between the two Kevins, Kevin Hassett, Kevin Warsh. Kevin Hassett is a Coinbase advisor. He had Coinbase stock. I mean, for a crypto holder, he's definitely more the guy that you'd want in there. And he can't completely make other people vote. It's a mix of some people that are nonpartisan, but mostly, it's either some people that Republicans or Democrats that are the voting people for the interest rates. But you can also see that we had 3 interest rate cuts and went up after one and kind of down after two. So, the interest rates cuts in the short term aren't always that magic wand that everyone thinks. What's interesting here is that this isn't quite all the way up to date because 2025 was down about 7 or 8% for Bitcoin, I believe. I think it started the year last year at 93,000, ended up at 87.5, or it depends where, I think it goes off Greenwich time, I guess the time that's in London. Maybe that UTC is what it goes. But you can see that after the halving year, 2012 halving, boom, the post halving year was good. Yeah. Then the following year, there was red, and then 3 years green. So 2016 halving, 2017 up, then red year, and then you had the 2020 halving, another green year after that, and then the red year. So here, instead of getting 3 green years, which we didn't get, we got 2 green years, and then this, 2025 is not here yet, and that was a red year. So we're really in uncharted territory. But you can look at the seasonality didn't play out like a lot of us thought, where when you look here for Bitcoin, which, it does have a big influence. I guess, October was big in 2021, but November and December were red. 2017, all 3 of those months were up a lot, almost 50%, 47%, 53%. And 2013, that post-halving year, you had a great October, November. Some of the percentages, obviously, when it was a lower market cap, it was easier for it to go up a lot. But January is off to a little bit of a green start, but it's just one day in there. But the seasonality didn't quite play out. I guess September was a little bit better than it typically was, I guess, but the rest of the year did not play out. There's a lot of bullish things in the administration with, a lot of the different people, SEC chair and Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary. And then some people think, we don't know if the Republicans don't win the midterms and they lose the House or the Senate, then there's a bigger divide now, it feels like, between Republicans and Democrats than ever. Then some of this crypto legislation, if it doesn't pass before then, might not. And right now, they start digging in kind of before the midterms, and they can kind of start. They can start. They can sometimes not work together as much this year. So some people are trying to, or talking about the Clarity Act maybe passing this first quarter, so that could be big. We just don't know exactly. For crypto, the macro events have a big driving force. The BTC price will move lots of crypto, Fed chair and interest rates, SEC checks and actions, Clarity Act. Those are just a few things. And was 2025 a bear market? Bitcoin down 7%, gold up. I don't know. These are just off the top of my head. I didn't look up the exact amount. I think maybe silver's only up 130%, but it was up a lot. S&P, I think, was 18%. Alts got absolutely destroyed for the most part, and Bitcoin down, breaking that. Now, when you go to Polymarket, you can see that I'm not looking it up right now, but the Supreme Court and the tariffs, last time I checked was 72% chance they're going to overturn the tariffs. That'll piss Trump off. And then, who knows what he'll do after that or try to do. And that could, the market might like if the tariffs are a complicated thing. We bring products in from China, our design, but they're made over there. And there's not just like, oh, wow, you have one tariff. There's like steel tariff. There's this tariff. There's a bunch of different tariffs. So if the Supreme Court does overturn that, it would only be for part of the tariffs, and there'd be a refund. And our freight forwarder, the person that we use to bring our containers in from China, their industry is gearing up for the Supreme Court to rule against Trump on that. So if that's what happens and Trump accepts it, which doesn't feel like he will, and he'll be attacking the Supreme Court, then, but say if he, markets like when they feel like they know what's going on. So if the Supreme Court rules one way and the market felt like knew what was going on, they might like that. If it looks like it's going to be a big battle between Trump and the Supreme Court, I don't even know what he can do or what he would try to do. But, it's one thing. I think people just want the tariffs to be in one spot, and that's what they are. For us, our business, okay, we get a $2,000 check, but, we have lost sales because we had to raise one of our prices, and we had to pay an extra of, $30,000, $50,000 in tariffs. So, the $2,000 isn't even a reach around. So there's a lot of different moving pieces. You can look at people saying that, they're going to try to weaken the dollar for exports. And then, there's just with China, Europe, Russia, but a large part is China and the United States are the biggest power players, and sparring back and forth on different things, and then kind of working together on this and that. I guess the U.S. did a big arms deal, like $11 billion with Taiwan, and then you have China doing military exercises or doing some other sanctions on defense contracting companies. And so if you could have all your plans for this year, but if China invades Taiwan, the market's going to get hammered. If they don't, you can't plan on some invasion. But if you've been checking out Case Social, let me know. 2026 is here. I have a good feeling about this year. We don't know whether it's going to be great, big. I don't know. But mark my words, Kaspa will reach $4 in 2026. What do you think of that? Um, I don't think it's gonna. My personal opinion is it won't, but uh, I'm wrong a lot. So there's a transaction I did. You can see that the fee was like 5 zeros and a one, 1967 somps. I've sent a bunch of messages. I guess I can go back to this and go back. I think that's the address there. I've done 145 transactions and I still have 4.997. I sent 5 Kaspa there. So I still have 4.997. So it does not, which is, I guess, 22 cents. So it's pretty cheap. You need, for this to scale up, you'll need lots and lots of transactions, but it's still cool. And it's cool that you can run your own node and your own indexer. And so that it's not all completely reliant on one person. So let's see. Just saying Happy New Year to the Sheep Cat official. So I think that crypto got hammered really in a large part, but in some ways you can look, and in some ways the 4-year cycle is intact. So, but I think the macroeconomic conditions, I think whether it works out as good as we can, I think we're closer to the bottom than we are the top. And if you have long-term investment horizons, then that is what it is. Let me know what you think about 2026. What do you think? Do you think that we're going to have, you know, some good price action? Do you even care? Do you hope it goes sideways so you can keep loading up? There's a lot. I feel like there's a lot of fatigue in the market. I know some people that comment on a lot of videos. One guy says he still has 1 million Kaspa, but he's pretty much done with crypto. He's only buying Bitcoin. I don't know if he's going to liquidate the rest of the 1 million Kaspa or kind of hold on to those for a while. But you can just feel that there's the sentiment's in the gutter right now. And I do believe that the technology, how it shakes out, there's people in the Caspian community thinks that Bitcoin will never get to $1 million. I think some people overstate the Bitcoin security budget. That's an issue that I don't think Bitcoin's going to have to cross that road for a while, because if the price appreciates, it's still going to have a multi-billion dollar security budget. And say in 2035 or 20, it hits if Bitcoin's a pretty high number, it's still going to have a very strong security budget. So I don't think that's eventually an issue they're going to cross, but I don't think it's something that's going to cross in the short term. And Kaspa's got an aggressive where it's going to go from 3 million Kaspa a day to miners, excluding the fees, but the mission schedule, it's going to be into the hundreds of thousands, by 2030 or 2032. I'd have to go back to that video, but I guess you could go to the, but I think Kaspa.org is the only place that really has it. And it shows it for 10 or 1 block a second. So you have to divide it by 10. And who knows, they might be upgrading that. So I don't know. I'm excited. It's a new year. It's nice to get 2025 in the books. I'm excited. I don't know how it's going to shake out. So I have guarded optimism. Some people are, and the people again, the biggest followings, it seem like they're very confident in their opinions. And you can look at how many people had the wrong price predictions for Bitcoin. And we just don't truly know. But I'm on the bullish side, but not looking at a year this year, if it doesn't work out, to think that that's not a 0% chance of happening. So that's all I got. Thanks for watching. I got my the public key there in K Social. If you're on there, you can give me a follow. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Happy New Year. Let me know what you think in the comments about 2026, where you fit on the spectrum of bullish to bearish. And that's it. Thanks. Have a good day.